I'd like to introduce you all to Propaganda Buster, a.k.a. Tony.
Hi folks, today I'm going to discuss an article that appeared in the Dallas Morning News. And here's that article, kids.
Tony, I can't read that. Could you summarize it for us, please?
What this article basically is about, it has to do with an act that was passed in 1952 by the Congress of these here United States of America, establishing a National Day of Prayer. Well, according to some judge, Judge Crabb, who happens to be a federal judge, I think in Wisconsin, who happens to also have been appointed by Democrat President Jimmy Carter, the worthless one, as Michael Medved would call him. According to this judge Democrat...
Wait a minute, Tony, are you sure she's a Democrat? I can't find anything online where her party affiliation is noted. For all I or you know, she's an independent. But even if she is a Democrat, so what? What's that got to do with anything?
She says that the National Day of Prayer is unconstitutional.
Which brings us to a segment I'm going to call Really, with Dave and Tony.
Really? Apparently this judge has not acquainted herself with the Constitution, specifically the Bill of Rights, notably the First Amendment.
Really? Really, Tony? You think a federal judge ruling on a First Amendment case is unfamiliar with the First Amendment? That's really what you think? Perhaps, Tony, the real problem is that you are unfamiliar with the legal concept known as precedent, and a United States Supreme Court decision known as Lennon versus Kurtzman, which established the Lemon test on which Judge Crabb based her decision. But go on.
The First Amendment reads, and I'm going to read to you the whole part of the religious portion of it, because if you've been to an American public school in the last 30 years, you are only familiar with a small portion of it. They taught you that the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, and they stop it right there. There's another part right after it that they leave out totally, which reads, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Really? Tell me, Tony, how does a federal judge deciding that the president cannot endorse your religion prevent the free exercise of your religion? Do you belong to some bizarre New World Shinto-like cult that can only practice prayer when the president signs an edict? Because that's all this decision does, Tony. It doesn't even bar the Dobsons who head the National Day of Prayer Foundation from going ahead with any planned events on public property. What else you got?
Now, how many of you public school victims know about that part, eh? Raise your hand. Yeah, and I don't see any hands going up. The purpose of that clause in the Constitution was so the government did not recognize a particular religion as the state religion, okay? So when you have a National Day of Prayer, you could do a Christian prayer, a Buddhist prayer, a Hindu prayer, a Muslim prayer, a Jewish prayer, anybody's prayer, a pagan prayer. No problem. You pick your own prayer if you want to pray on that day. So it is not respecting the establishment of a religion.
The Constitution doesn't say a religion, Tony. Really. It just says establishing religion.
Because it respects all religions, but it is prohibiting the free exercise thereof when that judge said it was unconstitutional.
Really? Tony, we've been over this. But let me ask you this. Would it be establishing religion if the president signed a decree establishing a day of blasphemy? It would, Tony. Really. And guess who'd also have a problem with that? I would, and so would Judge Crabb. Really.
Now listen to me. So you're saying it's unconstitutional to pray, have a National Day of Prayer, or to pray anywhere on government property. To which once again I have to say, really? President George Washington, first president of this country, he was at the Constitutional Convention in 1787. He wrote the Constitution, not himself, but he was part of the delegation that wrote the Constitution. Guess what President George Washington did while he was president?
Banged a slave? Wore wool in July?
He issued a proclamation giving thanks on Thanksgiving. And to whom? Not me. Not to Benjamin Franklin. To the God Almighty. Here was a man in the White House, or wherever he was in residence at the time, issue this National Day of Prayer on Thanksgiving. Now, was that unconstitutional? Did he violate the very document he helped author?
Well, let's see, Tony. President Washington issued his proclamation on October 3rd, 1789, and the First Amendment was ratified on December 15th, 1791. So since the First Amendment didn't exist yet at the time, I'd have to say, really?
Now, a lot of these heathens would tell us, you cannot pray if you're a government employee, on government time, on government property, if you're anybody.
Really? Which heathens are saying that? Would this be a straw man argument, Tony?
About a year ago, there was a horrific automobile accident. I think it was somewhere in Texas. And the children and the family just died, and they were just body pieces all over the place. Well, the workers that went there to tend to this, they were so moved and so filled with grief that they stood together and prayed on the highway in uniform.
Somebody get me that guy's badge number. Really, Tony, has anybody even tried to sue them over this?
Did somebody say they were in violation of the Constitution? No. How dare someone tell them they were in violation of the Constitution?
Right. That's probably why nobody did tell them they were in violation of the Constitution.
But you're not going to expunge religion from this country because we are a strong religious nation, and judges like this are not going to do anything to stop us from praying.
Really? Judges like this? Judges like Barbara Crabb, who wrote in her decision, "No one can doubt the important role that prayer plays in the spiritual life of a believer. In the best of times, people may pray as a way of expressing joy and thanks. During times of grief, many find that prayer provides comfort. Others may pray to give praise, seek forgiveness, ask for guidance, or find the truth." You mean judges like that? Look, Tony, as an American, an atheist, and someone who respects religious freedom, I applaud the recent decision by U.S. Justice Judge Barbara Crabb to enjoin the President from endorsing the National Day of Prayer. As an atheist, I think prayer is a waste of time. However, as an American, I think people should be free to pray whenever and wherever they choose. While as one who respects religious freedom, I don't think the government has any business endorsing any strictly religious activity of which prayer is primary. As an atheist, I have no desire to attend prayer services, public or private. As an American, I recognize people have the absolute right to gather and pray on any grounds, public or private. As one who respects religious freedom, I worry for the rights of my religious brethren whenever the government encroaches into what should be private spiritual territory. An atheist is one who believes many things, but does not believe there is a God. An atheist can believe in your right to assemble. An atheist can believe in your right to pray. An atheist can even believe in your right to choose a day to gather and pray in tandem as a nation of faithful, religious individuals. And in fact, this atheist does. But as an American, I cannot believe any other American with a profound understanding of the Constitution and the lessons of our history could ever want any government, least of all our own, becoming involved in the business of legislating religious observances. And staving off the critics who will erroneously declare that the founders would have supported the recent tradition, I leave you with these words from Thomas Jefferson. "I do not believe it is for the interest of religion to invite the civil magistrate to direct its exercises, its discipline, or its doctrines, nor of the religious societies that the general government should be invested with the power of effecting any uniformity of time or matter among them. Fasting and prayer are religious exercises, the enjoining them an act of discipline. Every religious society has a right to determine for itself the times for these exercises and the objects proper for them according to their own particular tenets. And this right can never be safer than in their own hands where the Constitution has deposited it. Everyone must act according to the dictates of his own reason. And mine tells me that civil powers alone have been given to the President of the United States, and no authority to direct the religious exercises of his constituents." Thank you.